Welcome to another episode of the Way of BJJ podcast. As always, due to strong language, inappropriate analogies, please do not listen to this around your kids. Now let's get to the podcast.
I probably ask too many questions for my own good. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. I think that's what led me to do jiu-jitsu. And I was like, I wonder, right? Anyways.
Nice.
But yeah, I really like the one, like listening to Justin.
Nice.
Just because like that guy's been training for forever.
I know. He's like, I've known him for so long. I didn't even know he started in like 2001.
I would have never thought he started in the gi based on his like proficiency. He's such an expert at no-gi.
Yeah.
I thought he was like a pajama hater. Like just, I mean, I get it. But I had no idea. So it's cool. And he started at, with Trevor Clarkson, which is where like a lot of people got their start.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it's cool.
No, it's super cool, man. Yeah. So that is why I have to do the spiel. Welcome to another Way of BJJ podcast. Yeah. So the way we do these podcasts is that it's unfiltered, uncut, unedited. So whatever mistake we made, I keep in there. So this is the best kind. But welcome back. So you guys know the drill. You've been listening to my podcast, hopefully for a little bit. As always, go to wherever you listen to the podcast, share it with people, and leave us a 5-star review, because today I have another awesome guest. So definitely deserve a 5-star review. And this is Jonathan Tsang, or in
5-star for effort.
Yes, or in Chinese, Tsang.
Shit. That's good. Yeah, cool. No, thanks for having me on. I'm not really on podcasts very much. I like them. I listen to them because I think this is great. I think doing it post-training as well.
Posting that in?
Yeah. Well, I think after a good training session like today, thanks again for helping out.
Oh, no worries, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, because I was all pajamaed up today. But I think it's you get your mindset's really good after training because you've worked hard, and it's a good time to chat post training for sure. We didn't get to train today because you were doing my job of teaching them.
No. But you had your pajamas on. I was like, oh man.
Hey,
I feel underdressed.
I like the pajamas. It's a lot. I know you guys do you do gi as well, though. Right?
I try to get at least one gi session in a week, but I can't say I look forward to it. But I do it just because.
Why is that?
Because I feel like, I don't know. I've just been doing no gi for so long, but the reason why I force myself to do the gi is because I feel I have to be a complete grappler. Yeah. Right. So that's the reason, right? So because there are some very gi specific stuff. Yeah. That if you don't train the gi, you will 100% not know, right? Yeah. So so I find that some of the responses I have in no gi will get me out of trouble, but if I make the same type of move in the gi, I get choked. So that's why, so that's why I find it beneficial. Like, hey, even though I do no gi mostly, I still need at least like one gi session a week, so I know to stay safe when I train the gi. That's basically it. Yeah.
But you started no gi, yeah?
I started gi.
You started, see, I always thought you started no gi.
No, are you trying to turn? You're trying to turn the table on me? I'm interviewing you.
Oh, right.
Jeez.
Yeah. See, I told you I asked a lot of questions.
Man, dude, you should start your own podcast, and then you can ask me all these questions, man. But anyway, so Jonathan, but he prefers to be called Johnny, right?
Yeah, John's good.
Yeah. Johnny, John, Jonathan. Yeah.
Hey,
you. Hey, dude. Hey, bro. All right, that's jiu-jitsu. You train with so many people, you don't remember all the names, so he's like, hey, bro, what's up? So many bros.
Hey, bro. Yeah, no. Yeah.
So he's a black belt, and he's been training for a long time.
Yeah, actually, it will be 15 years
Holy
tomorrow.
Shit.
Yeah, I started in 2008.
So you remember to the day?
Yeah, just because it happened. It's funny because it happens to be coming up tomorrow. Yeah, what a day, September 11th. Eh?
Oh my God, yeah.
Some other things happened that day.
Yeah. So tell me about how you got started, man.
I got started back in 2008 because I was super out of shape. That's how most of us get started. Super out of shape, and a good friend of mine was doing kickboxing at the time. Boom. And he invited me to go do kickboxing, and then I went and I stank it up real good. It was terrible. And I did that for a little bit. And we were kind of like, we were doing the kickboxing, and we would get together and watch the UFC together as a group, which was like back in like UFC like 20 or 30, so like earlier times.
Wow, early, man.
I think it was, or maybe 40. Anyways, we watched the UFC, and I felt that it was cool to watch the striking because you kind of dabble in it a bit, so you think you know what you're talking about, or you think you know what you're watching. But when it hit the ground, like I just felt, to be honest, I thought it was boring because I didn't understand what was going on. So I tried to take the proactive approach. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll figure it out, or try a class and see how it is. So I started actually in about the same time, because I think Apex, Marcin Milo, they just started, or they just celebrated their 15th year anniversary of Apex. So I was one of the original, I think, first like batch of guys that started.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah.
Awesome.
Marcin Milo used to do kickboxing at the kickboxing club, Westside Kickboxing in Vancouver, that I was training at. So I had an interest, and then I just happened to talk to the owner there, and he's like, oh yeah, like these people I know are starting jiu-jitsu gym that's in Richmond. I'm like, great, I hate driving. And they started on like Alder Bridge and like Shell Road there, just in a tiny little thing. So I started there with them in the gi, just like all of you guys too, I guess, in the gi. Yeah, so it's been over a decade, 15 years.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Wow. So I suppose the better question is, why are you crazy enough to stick with it, man? Jeez,
Yeah.
what made you stick with it for so long? So many people quit. What made you different?
I think I'm a little slow to pick up stuff, and I think a lot of people quit jiu-jitsu because it's difficult, and it wasn't that different for me because everything is difficult for me. So it's like, oh, this just, you know. But I think...
Well, that's a blessing in disguise, really.
I think the beauty about jiu-jitsu is the uniqueness in that I saw people finding success in it of all different shapes, sizes. Like if you look at like Abu Dhabi, like ADCC, you look at all the weight classes, 66, 70, like the top 3 guys, they're all different shapes and sizes. And every year, or every 2 years, whenever, every cycle, it's different. It's not like, you'll have like one tall, lanky guy. And it's not like all 3 of them are tall, lanky guys. The top, like, oh, that's the weight, that's what you need to be. But it's different. Like this dude's like tall and lanky like a tree. This guy's like a dwarf fire hydrant guy, and then the other guy's like an in-between. So I think it's unique. And it changes every year. And you look at like Worlds, Pans, whatever, it's always different. And they all play like vastly different games. Sure, there's like what's popular and what's in the meta, but you can still be successful with whatever like the universe gave you if you put in the time and effort. So I think that really appealed to me because I'm not like short, small, and weak. So it's like, hey, if maybe there's a spot for me here, right? Yeah, I just kind of, it's actually the longest thing I've been consistently doing aside from like sleeping and eating. I can say like I've done jiu-jitsu longer than I've known my wife. So like it's like
yeah. Oh, that's good. That's great, man. Yeah, because I think you hit the nail on the head there. Because the first time I met you, was it the first time? Well, one of the first times that we ever trained was at Evans, right? Yeah. Right. So I came in. Then, of course, as you said, you're a smaller, shorter guy, right?
Yeah.
And
nothing's changed.
Yeah. So when I saw you, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna bully this guy.
Smash this kid.
Yeah, but then.
And he did.
No, man, dude, I didn't. No, dude, I remember, man. I didn't smash you, man. No, you're able to.
I'm pretty sure I died a little bit inside.
If you did, you didn't show it, but you were able to, because again, I think with it forces you to develop a game where you are able to stay safe.
Yes.
Create the frames that's necessary, right? And don't, and if you get smashed, you're really good at, finding your way out.
So a lot of
right?
survival.
Yeah.
Sure,
And then, but that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. If you can survive, then you can find a way to attack, right? Because the other person can only hold his strength for so long.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I think every time I see somebody who's smaller, but they're able to make it to a high level of jiu-jitsu, I'm like, hey man, that's the person I have to go and ask those questions on how they're able to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the value you bring to, because I saw some of the guys you were training, your students that you're helping, they're freaking like yoked, man. I'm like,
some big boys here.
Yeah.
Our club is invite only, so I bring a lot of guys in from work, and so I work as a firefighter, And yeah, you wouldn't think it, right? So I bring in all these guys who look like real firefighters.
Like on the calendars, right?
Yeah. I bring in all the calendar boys.
You never get invited to the
no,
photo shoot?
the club members are just like, oh, well, like I every time I bring in a guy from work, it's very exciting for me to be able to share jiu-jitsu. So I always like snap a picture, and then Jen's like commenting, she's like, why is it like everybody all the firefighters you bring in look like firefighters except for you? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I got the mullet and the stuff.
Got to fit in somewhere.
Yeah, I'm like doing my best, but yeah, we got some big cats here, but they're all good guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I think it's going to be really cool to talk about a few things today.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing is firefighting is such a awesome profession that everybody respects, right? And it really helps the community, but it's also it can be pretty grueling sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's hard work.
So how do you balance firefighting and training and family and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I have a young family. I have a 4-year-old. I just basically I changed. So like most of us, I think we started training in the evening after work, like 6, 7 o'clock classes. After I had my kid, I just completely swapped to daytime. I'm like super champagne hours, training only during the day. So I train at 10 o'clock, which most normal people are working. But yeah, it's like I can't train at night anymore. But having the kid and switching that schedule, I don't think even if I had the time, I would want to train. Mm-hmm. The only time I train at night now is to go visit Evan at Advantage, because I think it's important to like learn from him, and he gives like really good tips. So I try to go in once every 2 weeks to a month and pop in, but it's grueling. Like obviously, when I was just working, when I was just working, my wife and I, the job comes first, obviously, because if I can't work, I can't provide, and I can't support us or myself. So yeah, then it's like the job still is high up there, but family is more, and then jiu-jitsu kind of became third tier. Whereas when I first started training, you're just like a young single guy. You're like, oh, you're trained like 2-3 times a day all the time. So it's not that hard to balance. I don't really do that much else. That's the thing. Like I don't have nice things or go on nice trips or go on vacation getaways. I just kind of like roll with sweaty dudes and hang out with my family.
Yeah, I just want some nice gis, some nice rash guards to wear.
Not even. My gis are like, all those gis, like they're like over a decade old.
Hey, that's why they're nice.
Yeah,
they lasted.
They last. But yeah, it's. I think a lot of people stop training when career or family gets away. But I think for my personal health, like mental health and physical health, I owe a lot to jiu-jitsu. Yeah. I don't think I would have been successful or found success in firefighting if I didn't do jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Because it was one of the first things. I think it's one of the harder things I've done consistently. That I just like. It's never easy, as you know. It doesn't. Yeah. I don't know. For some guys, they flip a switch and like, oh, I'm a black belt, I'm really good. I'm like, no,
Oh, until you get worse. It gets worse.
There's expectations.
Yeah. The higher your belt level, and the supposedly more experienced you are, the worse it gets.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that brings to a couple really great, questions that we can go into right now, right? So number one is, it sounds like what you're saying is you have to make a choice, right? Because you can't focus on everything all at once and trying to it doesn't work that way, right? It's like, hey, if I want to do more of this and I want to focus on more of that, I have to sacrifice some other stuff, right? So that's where the choice comes in.
Yeah.
So it sounds like for you, having jiu-jitsu to help with your physical and mental wellness is really high on the list.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So can you go a little bit more into that? Like why? I mean, have you ever tried to go with less jiu-jitsu, and how did that affect your life, vice versa?
The only time I really believe in consistency over intensity in training. So we talked about this earlier, where if I can train 30 days in a month at a lower intensity, I'll do that over banging it out like 2 times a week and going like see red, go hard, just because I think it's better. I learned that actually from Owen here. Consistency over intensity.
Who's Owen?
Owen's the owner of the club that we train at, AmpFit, where we run our little jiu-jitsu club. So shout out to Owen for making our little club possible.
Yeah, and we'll come back to talk about the club after we discuss the benefits of mental health and the importance of it for you.
Yeah, I think the only time I took time off from jiu-jitsu was during the pandemic when they said no jiu-jitsu, because.
And we listened. Oh my God, I feel so ashamed. We listened.
Well, I mean, if you at the time knowing what we did or being told what we did, like jiu-jitsu was not a great idea to whatever. So I that was the longest layoff I've had from jiu-jitsu. I've been fortunate enough. I've never really had too many terrible injuries, but I was off for like 18 months, just like cold turkey. So it was like I just didn't know what to do. Like it was weird. But
that was such weird times.
Yeah.
You know, I feel dirty. I feel like one of those, you know, Nazi guys that goes, I was just following orders. You know, fuck, so dirty.
But you know what? I picked up kettlebell training, which actually has a lot of simpaticos with jiu-jitsu. So it was a good break. Like and it helped me learn the balance of like just because I put something down for now, it doesn't like I didn't quit jiu-jitsu. I took a like health advised break from it for 18 months. Yeah, it was overall like I think about it sometimes like I think it was actually valuable to take that break because if the pandemic didn't happen and COVID, like I would never have, I probably would never outside of like a major injury, which I want to say given the style that I train and like the intensity I train at probably wouldn't happen unless it's a freak accident. Yeah, it was
knock
good.
on wood.
Yeah. There you go. But yeah, it was good. I still, so I did that, which helped me maintain my mental health. Unlike a lot of other people, like I was still going to work. So I know that impacted a lot of people negatively. In our line of work, like mental health is real. I mean, some people poo-poo on it because they don't like it or they don't think it is real. Like, you know, we're all monkeys and we all have emotions and we feel and think a certain way. But yeah, so jiu-jitsu was like I always felt, the first time I felt weird was when I stopped doing it for like maybe like a couple weeks, which is a lot, and I'm like, oh, this is weird. But luckily I found something else kettlebell training to fill that gap. And then I thought it was okay. But then when it opened up again and I started training jiu-jitsu, it was like a light where I'm like, oh my, like this is what I was missing. So the value of it really, like you don't know what you got until it's gone kind of thing. And I knew it would come back, but even then, like it made me really value it more, which encouraged me to start this club with one because I'm like, oh, this is like I thought it was good before, but I'm like, no, it's really good because you can do without it, or like I could do without it, but you're just better off. Like I think I was a better person when I started training again, or I was able to train again.
Nice, man. Yeah. So we'll circle back to that because as you mentioned, you have brought in a lot of your coworkers.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh, it's great.
And then so we can talk about like the impact and the change you've seen in them, you know, mental health wise in a bit. But let's talk about how you got started with the because when the first time I heard like you started a not-for-profit jiu-jitsu club, I was like, how does that even work?
You know, I don't even know how it works.
Because traditionally you would the only way to start a jiu-jitsu place is like it's in the official academy, right? You run it as a business, right? It's either that or it's like in someone's garage where you know people just get together, put some mats on the ground and train, right?
Yeah.
So but this is kind of different, right? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you come up with the idea and
I mean,
how did it get started?
Everybody that I trained with was very generous to me, and I met some really good people training in jiu-jitsu. Just people being generous. Like Evan was always very good to me. All the places I trained were good. You just see, like Evan is just such a good dude, right? He's he's nice to a fault. It's like
almost too nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish. So Evan, you know, I've trained under Evan for a while. I mean, before as well, you know. So I totally understand. Sometimes I wish he would be a little bit more like.
Yeah.
How do you? Man, I don't even know the right word.
Yeah, but he's one of the nicest human beings. I mean, he's a giant savage on the mats, and he's just beating me up. But aside from that, he's just really. So I think you know, you surround yourself with these people that are just kind and like you want to kind of pay it forward. So and again, back to the mental health thing, I saw how good jiu-jitsu was for me. When you find something good, you just want to share it with other people. So, you know, I'm sure we've all been there where we're like, oh, like you bring your friends in to try jiu-jitsu, and then there's like just this impenetrable like domino wall of layers of reasons why they can't. I won't say they're excuses because a lot of them are legitimate, but a lot of them were like, oh, it's too far, I don't have the time, it costs too much, I'm out of shape, I'm afraid of getting hurt, like all these things. So we just kind of lined them up. I actually like conceptualized something like this like way back even when I was with Evan, like just like all these like layers, like how can I as just some guy help to remove some of these barriers for people to train. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, if you can make a living doing jiu-jitsu, that's awesome, because you're good enough to make I'm not like objectively, I'm not skilled enough to make a living doing jiu-jitsu, and I don't make enough money doing my profession to buy a space and just be like, hey, everybody train here for free. So this is where Owen comes in, because he's, again, a super generous guy. He has this space. He has these beautiful, like 1,200 square feet of 2-inch rollout mats.
Well, so he had these already?
Yeah, he's a bit of a I mean, he has it for, like, he does a lot of gymnastics stuff for his
okay,
so
okay.
I mean, yeah, but you know, buy wrestling mats for gymnastics, like that's a good sell. Like that's a good line to use. But he has these beautiful mats, and we're friends because we trained together under Evan, and nothing else was really open, and we were doing like small group training at the time. So he kind of asked if we wanted to run something here. So I'm like, yeah, like as long as it's not an official school. He's like, I wouldn't feel comfortable charging people real money based on my skill level.
Well, you know what, dude, John, you're selling yourself short, man. You know, yeah, skill-wise, definitely you can do that.
I'm the okayest.
But business skill-wise, you don't have. That's the thing that's lacking.
Yeah.
It's not the jiu-jitsu skills, man.
Yeah.
It's your business skills, bro.
Yeah.
Come on,
Another
come on, man.
shortcoming.
When you try to sell yourself short and try to be too humble, it comes off as arrogant too. Yeah, come on, man. Just say, you know, come on. We know where we stand. We're not world class, but we can hold our own. You know, we trust our skills, man. Come on.
But I didn't really want to, like, I didn't need to make money with it, so I thought it'd just be like a nice. It's a club, right? Like just like how you would have like.
So the thought never came across your mind, like, hey, maybe I can open a business, an academy. That never.
No,
never
because so I spent a number of years with Evan, and he let me teach classes for him and stuff, and I saw like it's very stressful, and I don't think it's cut out for me, and like honestly, I just didn't want to deal with it. But I like training jiu-jitsu. I like getting people to train and seeing the impact it has, the positive impact. Like there's people that I had the opportunity to kind of get them started and watch them all the way almost up until their black belt, and it's just cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
so what exactly separates a academy from a club?
I think for me, it's like I don't have very much responsibility. Like if we need to cancel a class, that's okay. Like everybody's just a group of guys or friends that get together, girls and guys. Be like, I don't feel bad about it. Like if I have something personal going on, or if like whatever, we can just close up shop. Everybody gets it. There's also no formal pressure to be like, you are a paying customer. I need to deliver a product to you and make sure you get it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's silly to think that way, but I want people to get, like if I was charging people like a fair amount of money, I want them to get value for it, right? Which I don't think I was ready to commit the time and effort to do. So maybe it's just lazy at the end of the day. I just want to have fun, right? Like train with people I like to train with, train the way I like to train. Not that it's like a good way to train or a bad way to train. Like we've seen it, we're pretty casual. We just come in and it's just like wanted to do that, which and then seeing Evan so stressed out, he works so hard at PTT, and it's a tough like industry, like all martial arts. Like kudos to the guys that run academies that can do it, because it's very hard, because you have this this space that it costs you money to like lease or whatever, but your operational hours are not, like, let's say you have a morning, you have a noon, you have evening classes.
Right, so you're paying for 24/7 access to
Exactly,
the building, but
yeah.
you're only using a few hours a day.
Yes. I think that's what kills a lot of gyms, because like you're just, I mean, if you have a retail shop or something, at least you can, the space that you're paying for can hold the inventory of the product you sell, but the product in jiu-jitsu is like, it's a, you know, it's non-tangible, right? So it's not like you put it on a shelf or something. But, and also like you need a lot of space, because like the more mat space you have, the better. But you can't like really store anything else. Like, it's not like you have crap on the mats and have it there. It's just like you're like a big open warehouse like this. Like that's the space you're going for, which is like very, I don't think it's a great business model.
Definitely not.
Yeah, right? Like, I think what you guys do is, and what, like, this is what, we basically, our little club here, we sublet the space from Owen. So we pay him a fee a month to use the mats.
Right, so there's obviously club fees for the members too, right?
Yeah.
So how does that differ from paying a academy due to?
I guess it doesn't. I guess it's non-profit because all the money just goes back towards like the club. So I don't take any money for teaching, and I mean we use the fees to pay Justin for his seminar, obviously, but that's how I see it, because I guess I see it as non-profit because I'm not making money.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Gotcha. So the goal of the club is not for your personal gain. It's to get enough money so you can add more value to the club members, such as getting seminars from other,
or like
awesome instructors,
like the app,
paying for,
like, would be
some stuff.
Great. Yeah. So if we can, like if you could like kind of group buy stuff, so we can like, if I buy like a Flow grappling membership with the club fees, then we can put it on the TV here.
Gotcha.
We can all watch the match together, kind of thing.
Yeah, and obviously pays for the space as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's super generous. He doesn't charge us very much money at all.
But something symbolic still, you still need that.
Yeah. I guess like, I don't know, maybe nonprofit's not the right word. I don't know.
Because nonprofit would sound almost like you're running a charitable organization or something, right? So maybe, I don't know.
I don't know what the difference between a charity and a nonprofit is.
Yeah, but I get what you mean. That's why we're having this conversation, right? That's why we're having this conversation.
I never thought about it.
So I think that makes more sense now, because you basically, you want to run, you need, it's more for your own training to, when you first started, right? It's the hours that I can train. I want to run classes, right? And then I want to only deal with people that buys into my vision, right?
Sure.
And then if I have
maybe it's a cult.
The charismatic cult leader right here.
Need more charisma. I've never thought about it. That's good, because like it's good to have these talks, because I've never thought of it. We just kind of like, we kind of just trial and error stuff, and I think that's another thing that like in a business, like you kind of have to make a bottom line.
Right. So I think the biggest differentiator is you don't care if you make money. Right?
No.
Yeah, you just want to be able to run the club. Enough. If there's enough to keep the club going, then you're good.
Yeah.
Right. But for a business, by definition, it has to maximize profit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not a business, right?
Correct. Yeah. That's a good way. See, you know business, so you
yes,
know
I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, you're black belt in business.
Oh man. Yeah. I got demoted because COVID kicked my ass.
Oh man, I think the entire health and fitness community took quite a big hit. Like, I'm sure, I know they had to make a lot of adjustments here and stuff, and I think the jiu-jitsu community, like a lot of people, it's very important for people to train, and I think, I think initially I was not a very good, I stopped training, and then I thought, oh, well, why doesn't everybody else stop training? But I don't think it's fair to think that way, to be honest. I think I was wrong. Like, people, you don't know what people are going through, and you don't know how, like, maybe that's what they need to, like it's really what they need. They need it more than I do.
Yeah.
But it's easy for me to say, like, oh.
In extreme cases, some people they have such a huge issue with depression. If they don't train, they might commit suicide.
Yeah. I think I had a hard time seeing that initially. But, like, looking back, I don't think maybe I was quick to judge, or like I'm like, Because it's just like I was like, oh well, I stopped training. Why didn't everybody else stop? Like you know how it is.
I know.
It's not that
I know hindsight,
not,
right?
Yeah,
Hindsight,
not an excuse, but at the same
but
time,
it's
like
good that we can have these talks and looking back and reflect on that really weird time period, right?
yeah. Oh, it's such
Yeah,
a weird.
it's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
So, but one thing I always tell tell people close to me is that that was the test, right? That was kind of the test. Like, hey, would you be the person, as I said, to flip the switch on the gas chamber and kill all the Jews, right? Because that I mean, it might not be that extreme, but psychologically, it's the same fucking thing, you know. So when I think back to it, I'm like, fuck, man, society is doomed if we ever have a really charismatic dictator that can convince people to do atrocious things. It will fucking happen again. It's already proven. So that's where my mind is at. But anyways, that's a whole different conversation. But yeah. Anyways, it got dark real quick. That's why. Okay. That's why we talk about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Right? So and I think jiu-jitsu. The best thing about jiu-jitsu is that we can have differences in all the beliefs and whatever, right?
Oh yeah.
But when you train, and then you gain that mutual understanding and respect that you can hash anything out. You can talk about anything. And then reach. Maybe you still don't agree, but then you can reach an understanding where, hey, you know what? I respect your point of view. You respect my point of view. Let's meet in the middle. That's one thing I really love about the jiu-jitsu community.
I think it's it's crazy. I remember when I started, it was like quite a small, what I felt was a smaller community compared to like other sports like hockey or something like that, and it was like cross training was kind of frowned upon. Like this our little club is basically cross training because it's not like a home base or anything.
So are a lot of the people also training elsewhere?
Yeah, and it's just a group of friends. It's like you can play I think in hockey and stuff you can play like beer league, or you can play on different teams, I need a sub or need a spare like that. So that's kind of like what this is like. If you want to train at these weird times that nobody locally, as far as I know, offers like training at like 10. Which is like, it just suits my lifestyle. It's like get off shift, go home, have a coffee. It's about 9:30. You can drive a rollover, and then still have time for lunch and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Nice.
But yeah, I think.
Okay, now I'm okay. I'm actually starting to see the big picture now. Okay.
Okay.
That's okay. That's what this is for, right?
Maybe I'm just bad at communicating.
No. This is great. So this is like a lot of people. When I first started training, right? This is how it used to work. When I started training, I would be one of those students that's like so eager, right? I'll be asking questions. I'll be training like you know 4 or 5 hours a day or whatever, right? And then I would be because back then when the gym owners, the professors, they were running the club. They don't run it like as strictly as a business, right? Because you need to have the passion for it, right? You really need to love jiu-jitsu, so nothing is like super businessy, right? So that means if you get on good terms with the professor, maybe they give you a set of keys and say, hey, you know what?
That's super common.
You can come in and train anytime you want. I'm sure Evan does that too. Did that, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of like that. It's like, oh, how do I get extra training with with friends outside of my academies, and now I have a place where maybe I want to work on heel hooks, and my academy frowns upon it or something, or they don't let white belts do it, but I still want to find people who are willing to train heel hooks with me, safely, and then this would be the place. You will be like, oh yeah, here I met Josh, who's a high level, a purple belt, and maybe he can show me how to do heel hooks. As in my home gym, they might not be, but I'm still loyal to my gym, right? So it's kind of meets that demand, right? That's how I see it now.
I remember I mentioned it last time when I visited your place, but so I met Tuna a long time ago at this.
Yes, I used to go. I used to go to Gary Herman's.
Yes. So that was like.
Thanks again, Max, for inviting me. All those.
Max. Yeah, but that was such a cool thing because you'd have guys from different clubs, and that's like. I think that greatly influenced me for cross training in general, and the invite process that we use here as well. Like you got bring a friend process. I thought it was really cool.
Everything can be traced back to Max Rathburn.
More or less, eh? The original OG.
Yeah.
But so it's actually, again, everybody that I trained with has made some kind of impact on like what I'm trying to do or what we're doing. So I think whether subtle or explicit, it's everybody contributes a little bit along the way. But I remember that old fight club. Yeah, I think I was.
So are there students here who use this as their sole training, and do you promote any? Are these people officially students that you oversee and promote?
So I like Rob Bernanke on the island has like a I subscribe to his BJJ concepts, pedagogy, that's the teaching one. But he has you know like a rank requirement, so I kind of use that. And I told the people here that if you want to, I think I'm okay, comfortable promoting people, giving like blue belts and purple belts based on like I kind of piggyback off his system or what you think like a blue belt is or what you think a purple belt is. There are a few that only train here, but like mostly I think there's people that train elsewhere too. So I think this is a good conversation because I never thought about it too deeply. But if you want to be...
I'm making Johnny think.
Oh, I know, it's hurting. But if you wanted to be like a purple belt or a blue belt under me, like usually the students, like everybody's just here free to train, but if you're interested in like earning a belt from me, which I think as a black belt I'm qualified at least for that level, I'm like, sure, like here's what I think, and then you get to work personally with those people and be like, hey, I think you could do these. So, but I heavily rely on what Rob has set up. It's great. Like it's like an explicit list, like, oh, you should be able to do this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, okay. But I do think like for promotions, like as long as you're making progress and you're improving, I think that's great. And like, you know, like you and I are like, I'm a black belt, but there's differences in levels, right? Like you can be, I think I'm a black belt level for me, but that's not like different standards, which is a weird thing for martial arts, right? There's no like national qualifying kind of thing where like you could, like I've mentioned this a couple of times where like, yo, I have a black belt, but guys like Damian Maya also have a black belt, right? So there's differences, right? But I think, yeah, certain people, and again, like whether you're competing, like there's like probably blue belts out there that could smash me in a competition, but yeah, you know, like it's weird how the belt rank thing is kind of odd. But yeah, we do promote some people in-house here. Yeah, and I feel okay about it. I think like I encourage people to cross-train so that they, like if I give you a blue belt and you're getting dummied by all the white belts, then like, yeah, maybe. But people at that level, I feel confident that I know enough that like what a good solid set of fundamentals for a blue belt is and a purple belt.
Yeah.
No brown belts or anything like that.
Yeah, but to be honest, sometimes you have to promote people to give them that kick in the ass.
Yeah,
so they can
true.
Rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that's because I was actually, because I competed at the ADCC Vancouver Open, right? So I was hoping to go in and compete as a purple belt.
Yeah.
My rank. And then,
yeah, actually, like
then my coach goes, okay, here's your brown belt. Like the week before, I was like, god damn it, now I gotta go in as a brown belt.
That's okay.
But guess what though? Because of that, it made me focus even more. I'm like, okay, you know what? My intention was to go in there and say, okay, I can kind of like, you know, pretend I'm just a purple belt and I don't care if I win or lose, right? But now being a brown belt, now I all of a sudden feel like I have to actually fight harder, you know?
Yeah.
So,
no, actually, I can kind of relate to that in that when I got promoted to, I think it's the same. When you get your brown belt, you're like, oh shoot, like this is like the next one is the last one. And then I think it's the same, like when you get your black belt, you feel like, man, I gotta kind of be kind of good at this, or you know what, like it's if nothing else, you want to make sure Evan didn't make a mistake or something, right? Like,
yeah, it's more like you don't want your
you don't want to let people,
bad,
you don't want to let people down, right? You're like, man, more responsibilities. But yeah, we try to do something special here for all the people that do get promoted. Like I get them a nice belt, or like we have other people come and beat them up or something. You know, it's always nice. Everybody likes getting beat up.
Oh
right?
yeah.
But yeah, so I've promoted 1 blue belt and 3 purple belts.
Nice.
So Josh, Owen, and Corey, my brother-in-law. So
cool.
Small little in-house thing.
Oh, yeah. Corey's your brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Jen's,
I would have smashed him more if I knew.
Yeah, he should have. He's also a vegan.
I was going so nice.
Yeah, he should have.
Okay, that's why he felt so weak. Corey, don't listen to this episode, please.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, Nice. Okay, yeah, dude, I'm so glad we're having this conversation because it brings so many questions now, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Made me
how
think
do
a
you
lot.
how do you maintain your own training? That's the question, right? Because it's mostly I would say intermediate or beginner level. Well,
Yeah.
your students, right? So how do you keep up with your own training?
I like to cross train. So I visit Evan at Advantage. I'll go visit Kabir at Kaboom.
Nice.
I'll visit Justin at school. I'll try to come visit you. So usually like I've always been a fan of like instructional material. So I'll kind of look and watch some stuff. There's so much of that available now. It's no longer like the old VHS tapes where you're trying to like, oh, how does this work? And people, even on like YouTube, on Instagram, there's some really good content out there. People put out great stuff. So I kind of like do my research kind of stuff like that, or watching like competition stuff, like how they do that. And then I will kind of drill it here and bounce ideas around people, ask around, work it a little bit, and then, I'll take it to try. I'm kind of a pussy, and I don't really compete that much.
But you have competed.
I have competed.
So
but,
when was the last time you competed?
I think like last summer.
Last summer. Okay.
But usually when I'm competing, I'm trying to. It's very selfish competing. I'm just trying to do something for myself. Where I'm trying to like, I wonder if I could do this, or like I wonder how I would hold up under this.
Right. I felt that too because I haven't competed in 13 years, right?
Oh,
so
smokes.
yeah. So when I decided to compete at the ADCC, then all of a sudden now I wasn't teaching the students at all. I was just letting Tuna do all the teaching. I was just focusing on my
That's his
training,
job.
right? So I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You have to be completely selfish and for your own training at that point.
Yeah. It's nice because like, when I train myself, I kind of think of something, like I look at stuff and I'm like, oh, that looks cool, or or I try to, like, I think the first step is like observation. So like I look at what positions I'm in, or like I'll film some of the training here. I'm like, where am I a lot, and what am I doing, and is that working? And if it's not working, then
why do I keep doing it?
Yeah. Maybe try something else. Then you can look at experts in that position. So like I play a decent. I spend a lot of time in like half guard. So I looked at like some of Lachlan Giles' half guard stuff. I looked at some of John Danish's half guard stuff, some of Jake McKenzie's half guard stuff. And like I said, there's so much like stuff out there just on like YouTube that you watch their matches and you're like, oh, what's he doing and stuff. And then I kind of just workshop it and trial by error, lots of error, lots of trial, and then eventually you get something that works kind of well for you. And then it's also like I try to ask a lot of questions. Like if I'm doing something, I remember a long time ago I asked you like how to rubber guard or like lockdown stuff. Like what do I do with this? Because I think I was under the impression that you were a 10th, because you were training with Nabil at the time.
Yeah, I was. I trained with Nabil and Dan.
So I was like, oh, this is the guy. That's why like I brought in Justin, because
I gave you a bunch of bullshit answers though. That's what I'm good at.
Oh man,
just bullshit.
Never
people.
Worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I think
that's why you're still not using it now.
I used the lockdown for a while.
Okay, cool.
I had a hard time with it's a controlling position. I really like that. I remember watching one of Eddie Bravo's like old school like old like Enter the Rubber Guard and stuff. Like the whole lockdown system was cool.
Yeah, you know what? I should do a lockdown thing here for you guys.
You should. It's no bullshit answers this time though.
No, I can't guarantee that.
Only the real deal. Yeah, I think it's good. I like half guard in general, and I remember, I think at Apex somebody showed it to me, like just like that, the lockdown, like the outside, like inside, and I used it so much because it was a good way to stop getting smashed.
Especially when you're one of the smaller guys.
Yeah, right? You just lace them up, and it felt cool because it would confuse people.
Right,
they
would look back like, what the hell is going on?
And I'm like, yeah, that's right. Like, I'm not going to submit you, but I can at least tangle you.
And once in a while, you submit people from the calf pressure.
Yeah.
I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
And every time I'm like, oh, you're tapping to that? How?
Yeah.
Right, but it does happen.
Yeah, lockdown's cool, man. I think it's like old. I remember Eddie Bravo saying it was like an old judo.
Probably. I mean, again, nothing new.
Yeah.
just
Everything is
rediscovered and done in a slightly different way.
Yeah, or like old wrestling move or something like that. But yeah, I like lockdown. Do people still play it? I don't see it that much.
Yeah, I mean, there's I mean, at the highest level, I haven't seen it that much.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's because like the meta is a bit different now, right? No, people don't like to just be locked into half guard because it takes time to set up, right? You know, you have to be there. You have to like get to dominant positions, and if it's not really available, you have to fight so hard to get there. That's the one thing I think. Like if you have if your goal, right, is to win, like a 5-minute, 7-minute, 10-minute match, right? And then you have to spend so much time to set it up. And then if you lose it, you just lost out on like 5 minutes of work of the match.
Maybe a low return on investment or like a risky investment if you think all that time.
Yeah, and then I think the recent recent competition scene has shown that it's still better to be super tight on top.
Yeah.
And then smash through the person, and then use your body weight to grind it out to cook the other person, and then eventually get the submission that way, right? So yeah, and I agree with that. You know, I think because I played the lockdown and I have deliberately not go to it for a while.
Oh, okay.
Just so that I'm forced to do my top game, right?
Oh.
Right, because I think it's one of those things like if you're really good at locking people there, and then do your thing, then it kind of stops you from getting better in other
I guess
places,
if you
right?
focus on your strengths, you're not going to address your weaknesses.
Yeah, but I think that's the same with other guards as well, right? If you're super good with close guard, then you always get to close guard, and then you don't ever open up, then none of the other stuff's going to get better.
Yeah.
I think that's the same discussion, right? So.
Do you think your style has changed over the years?
You're trying to do it again. Have your own podcast. I'll ask you the questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because mine has.
Yes, mine has too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has changed. But the funny thing is, another reason why I sign up for the competition is that, hey, what am I actually gonna do? If I'm in a competition? And guess what I did? Lock down electric chair, tap the person. You know, I'm like, okay.
Throwback to the good old days. Right?
I'm like, okay, well, here's the answer. You know, and the other guy was a black belt too. You know, I'm like, okay.
Maybe you just revert to your, I guess, like
I think you find more efficient ways to do it, right? So that's a cool thing. And I find that if you have something that people have to be really scared of, it opens up other shit too, right? Because they'll be fighting so hard
if they're afraid
not
of
to
your
get
lockdown
in there,
and stuff,
right?
they're gonna give up something else.
Yeah,
that's interesting. That's funny. What am I gonna do? Lockdown, electric chair, banana split. Here we go.
Exactly how it played out, man.
Oh, that's good though. But do you think you'll compete again? I've been thinking about it.
Yeah, dude, you know what? Yeah, dude, we should do it together, right? 2024, ADCC is gonna be at what? The T-Mobile Arena. It's going to be a giant stadium, but they're going to do the ADCC Open the day before, so we can compete in the same freaking stadium as the real ADCC guys.
But there's no pajamas in ADCC.
You know, that's the funny thing. I believe you're allowed to wear it if you want.
Really?
Yeah, but nobody else will wear it, but you can wear it, but people will just be able to grab onto it.
Be that guy with like the lapel, just like
ninja
sticking it in people's mouth. Yeah, sticking it in people's mouth or something. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. So let's circle back to all the other first responders that you have invited to the club.
Oh yeah, I think it's been really good. I think it is a good. I think jiu-jitsu actually, if done properly, it can age pretty well with you because you see a lot of. I'm not sure about no-gi because I don't have as much experience, but I definitely think gi.
Well, you're not wearing gi right now. You're doing no-gi.
That's true. But at least for gi, gi jiu-jitsu, like you see a lot of like older guys do it. So I think if you're not super aggressive and like a lot of like we have some older people here, they're just here to like just move around, right? And so I try to convince guys at work to come out. A lot of guys at work are very athletic. They all have like sports backgrounds and stuff. And
because we all know firefighters don't get fat, only the cops do, right?
We eat a lot of ice cream, right? We eat a lot of everything, actually.
Yeah. So the reason why I want to talk about the mental health part of first responders is because I don't know if you know this, but long time ago when I was still in Seattle Tacoma area in the state of Washington. Yeah. I worked as an EMT for.
Oh, I didn't know that.
For about a year and a half, right? So during that time, I've seen a lot of
horrible things.
Firefighters, paramedics, and nurses at ERs that they look like they've completely given up on life. Oh. Right? They're just so calloused, right? Yeah. They're so callous. They're kind of like Walking Dead. They don't give a shit. They're just going through the motions, right? I've met so many of those, right? Yeah. I always joke when I take a patient to the ER. Yeah. Right? And if I don't know who the head nurse is, look for the fattest most miserable looking nurse, and that is the head nurse. And I'm almost always right.
Almost always right. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So, have you seen something like that in your line of work, like people getting into a bad mental state?
I think, like I haven't been in the fire service very long. I've been in it for about 8 years, and I've noticed that mental health definitely is like more. I think it used to be like you just got to be like, the tougher you are, the less you say, the better.
Kind of like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of like that, like stiff upper lip. But it's coming around now that like you see lots of mental health like media stuff, like, hey, if you feel like, talk to somebody and stuff. And we have a lot of programs at my department, anyways. Like they really try to, like, we have training for it. Like I'm one of the critical incident stress people at work. So like if I took a course, which was a really good course, to have the awareness of it. So I think having the awareness is good. And then for me personally, I use jiu-jitsu, like physical exercise, as a way, like a very good accessible way for me to diffuse any stress I have. So I just figured if it worked for me and I do the same things and go to the same calls as a lot of these guys, like maybe it would work for them too. And everybody I think who's come to try it out has like been positive. Like jiu-jitsu is fun, man. Like given the right environment to start, it's good. I think, yeah, I think that's why I bring people in, because I think it's beneficial.
So what is the right environment then? What do you believe to be the right environment for somebody, like let's say a first responder or whoever? Or because we know it's important, right? If they come in, then they have a bad experience the first time, they won't come back, right? So what are you doing to make sure that it's the perfect experience for them, so they keep on doing it?
So the thing here is, like, if you want to invite somebody to come train with us, our little club, our little group, I remember like Jen was making a joke about it, how like typically what happens is that you find jiu-jitsu, you really, really like it, you love training, so you're like, yeah, you guys should do it. And then you invite your friend to come to your academy or your class that you're training at, and then you're like, okay, good luck. Right? It's just like, yeah, because you're so like, you want to train. Right? Because you don't want to. And I first saw this at Evan's place, where I started, like, if somebody new would come in, I'd kind of take them aside and do a little intro. Like, it's, I could hand you the controller, or I could sit down with you and teach you how to play the game. Because I find jiu-jitsu is like, it's like a real life fighting game almost, right? So if you teach somebody how to play, they'll probably be able to enjoy it a bit more, versus like, here's your controller, here's my controller, now I'm gonna beat the piss out of you and like have a great time, where you're just like, what's going on? So I think doing an intro session is very beneficial for like brand new people, to help them. So that's what we try to do. If like one of the guys comes in, where I always take them aside to try to do. I don't know if that's beneficial. I don't know how other academies do it. I think some do, but sometimes as like, I know some schools, like, if you can't just, here's $100, I'm going to train. You have to schedule a time to come in one-on-one with the head instructor to do an intro. And I think that's a huge thing. I think. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Yes. I think intro is good.
Nice. So the club environment allows you to kind of do that easily, right?
Yeah. Or like, if you want to bring a friend, like you're
responsible to to be that guy.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, some people, even if you've trained before, like one of our members brought a new friend. We call it New Friend Day. It's great, right? Bring a new friend.
That's why every time you text me, it's always, hi, friend.
Yeah.
I'm like,
all about friends.
I'm like,
right?
dude, what a dork.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, like, you bring a friend, like he has to look after his friend, so that even though he's trained jiu-jitsu before, maybe he hasn't trained jiu-jitsu under this environment. I'm a big, like, Evan was like a good mentor for me. So I believe in that mentorship kind of like, it's not like you have to hold their hand or anything, but you got to be like, hey, I'm here. And the thing, like, when you invite somebody to come train, like, you obviously have to be there for their first time here. And once they're like, the club's like, okay, this guy's not a meathead, he's not dangerous, then yeah, you can train all you want.
Right? Yeah, dude, you know what? That is great. I think all academies should have something like that. If you are bringing somebody in, then you should naturally be the person to kind of welcome them and be their guide, so to speak, for that session, right? So make that particular session not about yourself, but about the friend that you invite.
Which is really hard because everybody loves jiu-jitsu so much, and I think a lot of people think that if I'm not focusing on my jiu-jitsu, I'm not making my jiu-jitsu better. But I think, like, you know, you're teaching a bunch now. I think, like, teaching makes you better. Like, helping others, you help someone, you help everyone. Like, it makes because you can't teach anything you don't really know.
I can. I just make shit up. I thought we've been through that.
Just when fake it till you make it. Just if you say it with enough confidence, people will believe you. Right? That's great. No, I actually got that, again, to credit Evan for it. It's like he tried to do like club ambassadors where, like, if we did have a new student, like, these are our go-to people that, like, and it was like everything at Evan's place was like everybody, it was a good community. People just wanted to help. So these people identified themselves as like, I'm like, I'll help. So the idea was if there's a new student that came in, they would partner up with this person and they would do that intro to like support them. I wouldn't say handhold, but support them into their first class so that they can enjoy jiu-jitsu. The only problem is like consistency. So if those people, like, as great as their intentions are, if they're not there for classes, it's difficult, right? So let's say you have like identified 3, like, you know, ambassadors for new people, and then somebody shows up for class and none of these other guys show up to train. It's like, oh, it's tough. And I know it's tough to run like your training. Like, if you had a class plan, it's tough to run that and deal with a new person at once. So I think like I wouldn't call it exclusion, but it's the separation of like you do like the proper class first, and then you can do that separate. It's tougher. It's easier if you just have 2 people. Like, you do the intro portion. Like, this is for looking after new friends, and then this is like whatever class material is, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Evan that was a great idea. Like, have somebody identify.
So what if there's an app where you can kind of create a foundations class, right? So let's say if somebody joins your club, right, and then you know that it's gonna be their first time, then you can already say, hey, well, why don't you go into the app and take a look at the foundations?
That would be fantastic.
So you have an idea of what jiu-jitsu is like, right? Because I think we run into the same problem too, right? You don't want to, like, if somebody comes in completely blank slate, they don't have no idea, then you have to tell them, okay, in jiu-jitsu, our goal is to get the person to the ground and then get past the legs and try to pin the person and then gain the control and try to submit. That's pretty much it, right? So, and I think with a simple foundations thing, they can kind of preview beforehand. We can bypass that.
Absolutely.
A lot easier, right?
Absolutely. Just
and then also allows you to create a separate class, which is say, hey, you know, for people who are coming in to train on Monday, here is the preview of what's going to be covered. Right? So
absolutely.
What if I told you that there's an app that you can easily create your curriculums like that?
I think if you don't leverage, like, everybody, you know, I'm not really on social media that much, but if you don't leverage technology for its ability to give, like, you're kind of like letting your students down. Like, if it's there and it's good, like, you should use it for that kind of stuff. Which I think, like, even like echoing what we said before, like the difference between like availability of instructional content, like the internet's, like, there's so much good stuff out there at like fingertips available. It's almost like too much now.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think an app could organize your thoughts. You see some stuff out there, but everything's very disjointed. If you could build something, like if you had something that, like, it's like a grocery store, right? It's easier to go to one grocery store that has everything versus like, oh, I'm gonna buy my yams over here, chicken's cheaper over here, but that, like, the tie-in, I think is really useful.
So that's why I want to, first of all, people listening to the podcast, like, where the fuck is this going? So, but it's actually because I think we mentioned this in our pilot episode, but I don't think a lot of people listen to that one. We said that Way of BJJ is not actually a jiu-jitsu school. It's a tech startup. Right, so we actually focus on. We actually started out by creating a jiu-jitsu training app, which helps people like you and I organize the curriculums and organize our jiu-jitsu, so we can easily disseminate that information to our fellow students. You know, so that's really how we got started. right? And then creating the school is just to kind of test it and make sure, hey, I can use it on my own students and prove that it works, right?
Yeah.
So Johnny, in your school, right? So I'm actually really happy to that you have agreed to pilot academies to.
Read that. It's like, this data is useless. This guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Maybe, but that's there's always something to be learned, right? So yeah, so you guys are gonna be you're actually the very first school now.
Oh really?
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, because Justin is too slow. No, he's taking his time to get it set up. So you guys will be the first one to use it.
He has a business to run. I don't. I just.
Yeah, so I'm actually really interested to see. So the app, as I showed it to you, you played around with it, right?
Yeah, it's solid.
So what did you like about it so far?
I like, one of the main things on the app is it's portable, right? I think that's good. I really liked, like I said, it ties together different things. So you have your media content, like your videos, the layers, like the breakdown, nobody knows what I'm talking about until you try the app. But it's like, there's different layers, like just the breakdown video or just the action videos. Cause I think it's a good learning tool because it hits different levels of learning. So I've taken some courses on like teaching and how to be an instructor. I teach stuff on the job at work. And it's kind of like people learn different ways. Like some people need to see it. Some people need to hear it. Some people need to watch it or like do it. Or some people need to, like some people need to read it. They need to read like, you got to take your left leg and put like, I don't know, whatever way. But the app is nice because it's cohesively, it puts all of them together. So it's all there, but you don't have to look at all of them. You can just look at the one. Like there's weird savant people that like, they see that and they can instantly, I'm sure you've met them, they can just hit it. It's like, why'd you do that? There's other people that need to like watch a detailed explanation, and there's other people that like need to like a written description, right? So I think that's good. I really like the map feature because I think, myself included, until you actually sit down and like you mentioned with your competitions, like what am I gonna do? You don't actually know what you're gonna do if you haven't like written it out somewhere and had it laid out. So the visual layout of like the nodes and the blocks is good. Then it kind of like you're leveraging technology to do this for you, right? I just need the AI to be programmed in to tell me what to do. So, you know, put an earpiece in, so it's like you're at this step of like your game, like do this. It's like, okay, that's the dream, right? But yeah, I think it'll be really good.
Nice, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited because the goal is to start getting more academies to use it, right? So we can make money off of those people who are a real business.
That's right. And not us bush league B team folk. Right?
But we really do. But I actually do look forward to seeing how you're gonna use the app.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think the most important thing we wanted to do is to create powerful tools for coaches to use based on how they want to use it, right? So really use your imagination.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And anything you think is going to be good for your students, you can try it out.
I think the personalization is nice, where you were showing like the add to game feature, because like, you know, if you have a good relationship with the people you train with and you know them, you know their game, you can start offering personalized advice.
Yeah,
like,
you can
hey,
actually easily assign a piece of the puzzle, so they can add it right into the puzzle pieces.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking of this off the cuff with your app, it's like if we come in, because the training's so casual, like usually I go around and ask people like, what are you working on? How can I help you? But if I know and I had this built in, I could just like push it, like you do this, you do this, you do this, and then they can come in and just do it, and it would, you know, you could track their progress with it and see like, hey, I see you didn't add it to whatever, like why? Like do what I tell you to do, kind of thing. Don't do what you want to do because that's not working.
Yeah, nice, man.
No, I'm excited for it. I think like I'm okay with technology. I'm not the best. I'm not the worst. That's the only thing I see that could, like, anything with technology, like, and it's because yours is so open-ended. It's up to me to kind of figure out. Like, you gave a good, like, overview, but I think it'll be like I have to put in the work for it, which I think that's on me. But because it's on me, it's something I control. So if I'm going to be lazy about it, then it's going to be lazy. But I think like there's no like ceiling as to how good it can be. And I'm sure like as more versions come out, like it'll only get better. And like if I have any feedback, I'll complain to you directly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'll be like, hey man, fix this.
For sure, man. You'll put me in a heel hook and then whisper in my ear, hey, what about that feature, motherfucker? Time to fix that. I was like, okay,
it's
shit.
good, right? I'm happy to help. Like, I don't know how much help will be.
Oh,
but like the effort is there. Like I'll do it. Like
huge help.
Yeah. The effort is there, but the outcome product might not be good. It's like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah. So what we can do is also, you guys can actually follow along on our Instagram to see, because I always post like snippets of videos and stuff to kind of show how we're using the app, and then we'll be doing that too. Once Johnny starts using it, I'll be showcasing how he's using it.
All my frustration and confusion.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Then so you can follow our journey there on Instagram, BJJ, and and then if you are a school owner and you are interested in maybe looking at the app or testing it out, unfortunately, we cannot work with any other pilot academies right now, but send me a message, send me an email, and then we can give you more information, we can put you on a wait list, and then when I'm able to, because right now it's just me working with people, right?
Yeah.
So when I have capacity to start working with another academy, whoever is first on the list, I'll reach out, and then we can do that, all right? Cool.
I think even if it's not a full-on school, like we're not a full-on academy, but like if you have people that train and you want a useful tool, like it's scalable. Like you could be like the top tier, like Atos, and you could use this, or you could be like us, just like a bunch of delinquents that get together during weekdays at 10.
The best kind.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, yeah, it's like, we talked about training, like there's like the people that train after work, hardcore, because they worked out there, they're still getting after it, right? People who train in the morning, like 6 a.m., hardcore, because they got a whole day of work ahead of them, and they still train beforehand. Like people like us who train at like 10 is like, you got nothing going on, man. Like you really should be training or doing something else better. So yeah, no, it's good.
Nice, yeah. So so before we go, right? And if people want to find out more about you or the club, and want to be part of the be invited to be part of the club, where
be nice. We have an Instagram that Jen, my wife, and Liv, the owner's wife, runs. It's AMP Jiu-Jitsu, so AMP Jiu-Jitsu, at AMP Jiu-Jitsu. And if you want to check out stuff on kettlebell training here, it's just ampfit.ca, or you can find. Yeah, I think that's it. We don't have we have like a website on Belt Checker or something, but that's not really useful for anything. Yeah,
but it's an exclusive invite-only club. That's why it's so hard to find information. So,
which is bad at it.
So if you put in the effort and you're able to find and contact these guys, maybe you'll get invited.
Or bring food.
Or bring food.
Just bring a full large pizza to the front door and be like, hey.
Oh man, awesome, man! Thank you so much. And
thanks,
so
man.
we will actually have this conversation again. Maybe let's say a couple months later,
touch base.
So we can talk about how the journey is going with the app and everything.
Well, I look forward to. I think this would be pretty cool because, like I said, not to take up too much time, but like we kind of did it like ghetto style, where like I film the stuff I do on YouTube and I just throw it up there, and I hope, like it's hard as even though. Like, it's hard to get communication, like, knowledge of it. But if you have an app, it's like a single hub spot that, like, they can just check it, and it's easier, right? Because YouTube's great, but it's just, like, disjointed, I think. So I think your app will be really good to pull it all together.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I guess we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Right?
Awesome, man. Thank you. All right. Just like that. See you.
I hope I did okay, man.
Oh, shit, man.